BattleTanx 2, also known as BattleTanx Global Assault, is a somewhat decent game on the N64, but the PlayStation version is somewhat lacking to me. The UI itself is really confusing. Doesn't look as good as it did on the N64. Graphics-wise, I think it has been scaled down a little bit. This really doesn't make too much sense to me as to why this has happened. But besides that, it seems like it's an okay port. It works the way it does. It seems like there might be a little bit extra levels on there. I haven't really played all the way through. And the last time I played the N64 version was a long time ago. And I just can't seem to dig that up, so I ended up finding this and trying to play it. And the controls are okay. It doesn't make use of the secondary DualShock joystick at all. So, but it does have some improvements over the original BattleTanx. As the original BattleTanx, you really couldn't turn your turret. The only tanks that could do that was the Goliath. And it's weird that I know this stuff. Alright, well, so yeah, your turret changes with the direction you're looking at, giving you a little bit more advantage on shooting at enemies, etc. There are a lot more tanks in this game. There's about 13. There's like tanks that flip over on their sides. There's flamethrower tanks, tank destroyer type tanks like the Rhino. It's kind of similar to like the SU-100 or, you know, general tank destroyers. You know, like heavy frontal armor but weak back armor. So it's a pretty decent setup right there. They bring back the Queen Lord mode, called Battle Lord in this game, and it works the way it is. The story is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. It was ridiculous from the beginning. You know, nuclear war, some sort of plague. They killed all the women off. Somehow there's some women that are still around, so everyone's trying to fight for them. Yeah, we've already heard all this stuff before. This game is okay on the PlayStation, but I do prefer the N64 version better. Graphically wise, they're pretty comparable. I think PlayStation probably beats it out on sound design, but other than that, it's not much of a difference, really. The cutscenes, just today's standards, they just look ridiculous, but they are pretty funny to watch. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about BattleTanx 2 on the PlayStation. Too bad I couldn't find the N64 version I had, because that was a lot better in my opinion. And that's not always what I'm going to say when it comes down to PlayStation and N64 comparisons. Usually the PlayStation outright beats it, but it's just the way the interface looks and the way the menus are handled, and just in general, it just isn't as fun as it was. Plus, BattleTanx is a big multiplayer game, and then, you know, the N64 had the advantage of having 4 controller ports. Now, I was a kid that never got the multi-tab for PlayStation. It's just too much money, and yeah, I don't know. Like, the fact that I can only play with one other person is kind of lame. Yeah, there's an option to play at 4, but you got to go buy a multi-tap, and trying to convince someone to get you that when you're younger really doesn't make too much sense. I'll probably be looking at the spiritual successor to the BattleTanx later on, the Thunder Tanks, for the PlayStation 2. I do know it did come out on the PlayStation as well, but the PlayStation 2 version I think was the intended release for that game. So don't quote me on that. I've got to dig it up from under my whole collection of PS2 games sitting around. Yeah. Anyway, BattleTanx 2, it's a fun game. The missions, you know, they're alright. They can be a pain in the ass sometimes. I do prefer the original over Global Assault, just because of the pure nostalgia factor. The original just, it had a much more, how do I say, like a post-apocalyptic type of vibe, while this one is more like, hey, let's have fun and shoot the shit out of people, and I really have no regards for story. While the original, the story wasn't that great, but it still worked to me. But also I was younger, and it was probably one of the first next-gen games that I played back then, you know, so I don't know. This is Rezo Wizardo, a.k.a. Base Rez, and I'm going to leave for now. See you around.